help people learn. I wasn't going to teach, and I'm not teaching any grammar. In my second episode, I do a little bit of teaching, but it's just basic things that we use every day, things that I also am justified to be teaching about because I use them every day, right? Do you think it's difficult to teach English if it isn't your native language? Well, I wouldn't know. English is my native language. However, if I, for example, started trying to teach people Spanish, because Spanish, out of the languages that I speak, is my best one. Yeah, it would be difficult. But, I mean, I think that if you speak at an almost native level, why shouldn't you be able to teach beginners, at least? Like, I feel like I know enough Spanish that I could teach beginners how to speak Spanish. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but I feel like I know enough at this point where if one of my friends came and said, Dylan, I really want to learn Spanish, I only want to learn from you, and they didn't want to do anything online, because I always recommend that people go to Babbel. That's what I used. I didn't have anyone, I mean, I had people to help me, but I didn't have any grammar course or any special teacher to help me. So I always recommend people do that. But if someone came to me and said, here, you teach me Spanish, then I would make a program for them, and I think that I could. Delaire, if you really want to, I'm serious. If there's any of my friends watching this that actually want to and would pay me like a little bit of money, like I'm talking $500-600 only, then I'd be in. So yeah. Hola Daniel, ¿qué tal? Cada vez que veo tu nombre no me lo puedo creer que nos vimos una vez en el aeropuerto. Es increíble esa historia. Bueno, but yeah, DC or Marvel? I'm a DC fan. Well, yeah, no, I have to be. I played Superman, but I was also a DC fan before. Just that I was a Flash fan, not Superman. But now I like both. Tú es estúpido. Good try, Delaire. Almost. It'll be tú eres. Daniel, mis amigos me están preguntando para ayuda en español. Y me han dicho, tú es estúpido. Can I say... Someone asked me if I can say something, but they wrote it in... I don't... It looks like Arabic to me. I might be wrong. I don't know how to pronounce... That's the thing. The thing about a different alphabet is I have absolutely no idea what to do. So I would read it out, but... Danny, I am reading your comments, yeah. Where can you listen to my podcast? You can go to my website, englishwithdylan.com, or you can go on Spotify, or you can go on Google Podcasts, and soon you'll be able to go on Apple Podcasts, and you can also go on Amazon Music. I'm trying to go everywhere. I'm getting there. So yeah, Apple takes the longest. They're the stingiest about approving podcasts, but Spotify was right away. A few days. Danny, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so $1,000 cada hora para tus clases. Vale, pues ya tengo una idea de cuánto puedo pedir. My favorite song at the moment is I want to say Danza Kuduro. It's so, I know it's old and whatever, but it's so, like, good feelings. I love it. Am I learning Brazilian Portuguese or European? I'm learning Brazilian Portuguese. Sorry to all the Europeans that I will offend. I'm only learning Brazilian just because I have a Brazilian friend. So, if I had met someone from Portugal, then I would be learning it from Portugal. But yeah, made more sense for me to learn. And also, I mean, statistically, it makes a lot more sense to learn Brazilian because I think there are 210 million people in Brazil, and yeah, and I think there's 210 million people in Brazil, and in Spain or in Portugal, I think there's less. There are a lot less. Do I get confused when learning different languages? Yes. And you know what's funny is I thought that because up until now, I've only learned Latin languages, Romance languages. So like, French, Spanish, Italian, right? Portuguese. And I thought that the reason that I got confused sometimes was just because they're all similar, right? Thanks, Daniel. It'll be great to see you soon as well, man. When I get to New York, I'll let you know, or Spain next time. Maybe in the airport again. But I thought that the reason that I got confused between languages is just because they're similar, right? So, for example, when I was learning Italian, I always said es instead of which means it is, right? Makes sense because it's one letter difference. But actually, since I started learning German, I was trying to speak Portuguese just like someone the other day, and I kept wanting to say ich instead of eu, and I was like, wow, those languages aren't similar at all, but I was still getting confused. So, yeah. I get confused between all of them, I guess, especially when I'm not good at one yet. You know, I'm not good at German, and I'm not really good at Portuguese, so I got those two mixed up. I don't confuse anything with Spanish anymore, because the thing is, when you get really good in one, it's just kind of solidified in your brain, and it doesn't leak out into confusion, right? Maybe if I learned, like... Well, no, that's not true, because sometimes when I speak Portuguese, but when I speak Portuguese, it's not that I get confused, it's that I genuinely think it's going to be one thing. I think it's going to be more similar to Spanish than it is. Like, for example, to say we have in Spanish is tenemos, but to say in Portuguese, it's, well, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's like temos. But when I was first learning Portuguese, I assumed that it would be the same. So I just said tenemos. And my Brazilian friend was like, no, it's temos. Very similar, but different, right? So things like that where it's not really a mistake. It's more, well, it is a mistake, but it's more so that I just think that it's going to be more similar than it is. And especially with verbs, I just assume that verbs are going to be the same if I don't know what it is. And sometimes I'm right. Do I speak Ohio? No, that's some things are even out of my league, Patty. And that's definitely one of them. So, yeah, I just had to accept that. Let's see what other questions we got. You're watching a series of unfortunate events right now. Do I miss the show? Yes. That was one of the most interesting shoots I've had. I got really lucky to be on that show. There's a lot of talent on that set too, and some really, really, high-level actors. So yeah. I do. Well, I mean, I don't know. People always ask me like if I miss things. I don't really miss a whole lot of things. I look back fondly, but I don't wish that I was still there. I feel like missing something is like when you wish that it was still when you wish that you're still involved in that, or you wish it was still going well. Hi, Katana. Thank you. I don't wish that I was still doing it, but yeah, I look back fondly. It was nice. Danny, I'm sorry. I'm gonna do solo live today. All right, let's find other questions. Let's see. Have I watched The Walking Dead? No, Give, give me a life jacket. I'm drowning. It happens. It happens. What country would I like to visit? Let's do a top 5. Number 1. Okay, I'll do countries that I haven't visited, because the truth is that Italy and Spain would be both in the top 5, but I've already been there. So, say number 1, Brazil. Well, not in any particular order, okay? Just all of them the same. I'm not picking favorites, but Brazil, Germany, Argentina, maybe, I don't know which part of Africa. I'd like to see all of it, to be honest. There's more than 5 countries that I'd like to see. I also want to see Australia. I want to see France. I haven't even been in France yet. Scotland, Ireland, all of it. I'm not even going to choose, actually. But this year, I should, if everything goes well, if everything goes how it should go, I'll be in Brazil and Germany. And others, but I've already been there. Oi, Julia. Eu aprendi pouco mais português. Depois quando falamos, tô ainda aprendendo. Is what I can say. But, yeah, so this year I should see Germany and Brazil. Should be the new countries that I see. Germany in the summer and Brazil for New Year's. That's the plan. So, yeah. But none of this is booked. What's my ethnicity? Well, my grandma was Austrian. Also part of the reason why I'm interested in learning German, because she spoke German. So my grandma, and I wish that I'd been interested in it when I was younger, because she could have maybe taught me some herself, fortunately, but that's okay. My grandma spoke German. She was from Austria. One of my grandfathers was born in England, and that's about it. Everything else is, I mean, eventually it all goes back to Europe, if that's what you're asking. I'm European. I don't have any, like, anywhere else. I mean, I'm sure I do way back somewhere. I'm not even sure. Why would I say I'm sure? No, as far as I've seen back in my family tree, I'm English, really, is where it all goes back to. English and Irish. But I mean, eventually we all go back to Africa. Eventually, like hundreds of thousands of years ago. So, yeah. Or is it millions of years ago? I don't even know. A long time ago. But yeah, the closest countries that I have descendants from, or that I have ancestors from, are Austria and England. When I watch football, my favorite team is Newcastle. By the way, I'm really into football now. Really into football. So if you guys want to put in new topics to talk about on the lives, I'm so into it. I follow La Liga, Serie A, and Premier League, and also Champions League. And Bundesliga a little bit. Bundesliga, my team is Dortmund. And also Düsseldorf. But Düsseldorf is not in the top Bundesliga. So it's like most people don't follow it. But yeah, I'm a Newcastle fan above all else. So my teams are Newcastle, Real Madrid, Torino, e poi Dortmund. PSG, I really love Lionel Messi, of course. Like, who doesn't? Well, the only people that don't love Messi are fans of Real Madrid, because they're usually Ronaldo fans. So, but I started being a fan of Real Madrid after Ronaldo left, aka this past year. So, and I'll tell you the reason why I've chosen all these teams. Newcastle is because my granddad was born there. That's my team by blood, right? That's my top team. So, for example, next year when Newcastle plays in the Champions League, because they will, I'll be cheering for them above all else. But when I do follow La Liga, I like Real Madrid because I've been in Madrid. I've been to a Real Madrid game. That was my first ever European football game, so I chose them. I know it's kind of like hopping on the bandwagon because they're like the most famous team, but I'm sorry. What can I say? I have a reason, at least. But if someone gives me a reason to switch teams, I will. You know, I'm not dedicated. Okay, I'm dedicated to Torino in Serie A. Dedicated. And I'm kind of set on Dortmund. I just don't want to support Bayern because I like Bayern because there's Alphonso Davies, who's Canadian, but they win every time, so it wouldn't be fun to support them. So, yeah, Germany's Düsseldorf and Dortmund. That's pretty set. Italy is Torino, but in Spain, my loyalty is kind of right now Real Madrid. But like, you know, if I in the future gain a reason to support another team, I will. I'm not set on being a Madrid fan for my whole life. So, but Newcastle, absolutely. I will never support another Premier League team. Never, ever, ever. So if you're from Spain, and you give me a really good enough reason to support another team aside from Madrid, maybe I'll switch. Maybe I'll switch. Probably the reason that I would switch would be if I just like made a really close friend from somewhere else, like Barca. I have a friend in Barcelona, but I haven't like been there. So, you know, Madrid is my team for now. Which team do I prefer from Uruguay? Unfortunately, I don't know any football teams in Uruguay. I've only been following European football. I haven't started following any South American football. I feel like if I did, I would just spend all day on football. So for now, I'm in Europe. But if I get more into it and I get, you know, a reason to follow South American, then I'll let you know. Hi, Kyle. Nice to see you, kind of. I know one of Newcastle's best players right now, Miguel Almirón, is from Paraguay. So, gracias Paraguay para él, porque es increíble. And yeah. Anyways, I've been doing this live for like 45 minutes, so I think I'm going to end it for now. But thank you to all of you that have been watching the whole time or that joined halfway. And I hope that you all have a really great day. It is the end of the day in the Eastern time zone. You might be on the next day already. Yeah, have a good week, everybody. And I'll do one of these again kind of soon. So, yeah, goodbye.